the last question I have, and this probably be very quick one. I imagine we'll probably all have a similar answer, but we know that Raquel went to see the new Connect. What's his name? Joaquin.
Yeah.
The new the
Hmm.
yeah. And he obviously saw Raquel talking to Howard earlier in the episode. When Howard tried to use the situation as leverage. With what Kanan did and everything. Um, so his stipulation was that if like because Raquel basically said she has Howard in her pocket. He's working for her or whatever. And Joaquin basically wants her to prove that that relationship is as she says, and that Howard is in her pocket, and that he won't be a problem if they start working together. So I wanted to ask you guys, because this is basically her homework, what she has to do. So how is she going to achieve this? Do you think? Um, and I'll go with you first, Rich. Do you have any ideas on that?
How she's going to be able to successfully work with Joaquin. Um, well, here's the thing. What I find interesting about this particular episode, it teases. We already knew that because Gary, you made a comment last week that, but you didn't use it in this particular context. You thought of it more along the lines of Lulu, and with him trying to start up this whole music business, which the fact that the police could see that he's involved, well they'll see the drug activity, the Unique's gang, and they may not want to be involved.
Mm,
I felt the same way with this, where Joaquin saw Howard and said, you know what, this is probably not a good idea to work with her. But obviously, she's going to have success in still being able to work with them to some degree. The question really is about Howard. And, because again, seeing Howard around, there's going to be a lot of questions that are going to start to be raised. And this is not the last time that they're going to have this conversation. I think that was the start of it. And then it may be a situation where they do work together. There is some level of success that she has working with them, but then something major happens with Howard's character, and that's impacting how they interact moving forward. Um, what I think is another point that I want to make, because it's hard to really answer the question. I do believe there's going to be tension with that. But what I also think is that the whole thing is that one thing that we didn't really address, but I think I'm sure people are probably going to mention, is that there is another character that we're going to have to, that's going to be a bit of a conflict in this situation, and that is Dean, because Dean is working with,
oh yeah.
he's working with Unique. All right.
Hmm.
Unique is under, he's under the impression that Unique is the only one that, he has all the product, he's getting more profits from him. So if and when Raquel has success with this connect with Joaquin, and now this comes into a whole situation where now you're going to have Joaquin helping her to get, once again, be successful in what she's doing in her business. That's going to raise flags to Dean. And he's going to want to know, well, because she's not working with me, who is the person she's working with? And that could
Hmm.
start a whole war between that both of those groups because of
Hmm.
that, because they're trying to get control of what's happening with selling the product. So that is a very interesting dynamic that I feel that they are going to explore, because I feel like that actor who plays Dean, who we have also seen in The Wire, I don't feel like you'll just bring that character in and then not use him later. Like,
Yeah.
yes, he was in a few episodes this season, 2 episodes in particular, right? But I feel like he has more range in what he can do and what he can bring to the whole storyline. So I don't think it's the last time that you've seen him. Maybe the last time this season, perhaps. I have no idea. But I kind of feel like, yeah, if she has success working with Joaquin, that's going to cause other issues. But in terms of what happens with Howard, we'll have to see how everything goes moving forward. But I kind of feel like for right now, what I do like about that conversation is that she was able right away to deflect and say, "Well, you got to understand what I did for you, what I did for your cousin, right?
Hmm.
I got her out of that bad situation. So you think that I would shoot a guy and then later on I'm talking to the cops as a snitch? That's not how I operate. So I like how she turned that around immediately. But
Yeah.
we'll see how everything goes moving forward. Because again, the way I felt after this episode is that the family is a little bit fractured right now, and because of that, it's going to create, like, someone might think they have everything figured out, and then they slip up and make a mistake. So I'm curious to see if there's going to be a mistake made later in regards to that business arrangement, so on and so forth. But yeah, for right now, it can go in any way, I think. But definitely that the whole conversation he had about suspicion with Howard, that's not going anywhere. That's going to come up again, I believe. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
And I'm glad you brought up Dean, because that's along the lines of what I was thinking about this particular question. So we saw earlier in the season that Raquel made a move where she gave Howard some intel about a deal that was going down, and then Howard went down there with his partner and some other cops and busted the situation. We saw that earlier this season. So I'm thinking she could, to show that Howard is under her influence, she could pull another move like that, and she could get some intel on Unique's shipment or whatever kind of deal he's making, and then she could tell Howard about it, and she could easily say, if you do this for me and hit this deal, then I will give Kanan to you. I will set up a meeting with you and Kanan. And then, when Howard does that, she can go back to Joaquin and say, I had Howard pull this bust for me, so this proves that, he is under my influence. So
yeah, that's great. That makes a lot of sense.
So yeah, that's what I think she could do with that. And that would be interesting to see. But what do you think, Dana? Do you have any thoughts on how she might play that out?
Yeah, I like your theory very much of basically she using Howard and Howard just being an idiot. I also think that it's hilarious that Howard most likely will end up dying not from the cancer, but from a bullet. So it brings great joy to me because Howard is just annoying at this point. Him and that little partner girl, good Lord, they're annoying. They're just always
I actually like the woman. I don't mind the woman that much.
She's a little bit always with her questions and what are you doing? What's going on? Teach me, I'm your partner. Like, I get it. I do. Yay.
She's just ignorant, She doesn't know anything. Like she
doesn't know anything. And she's green, and she really does want to learn. And it's no shade to her, just in general, she's just annoying. But yeah, going up with the whole Howard situation, it is gonna be one of those I scratch your backs if you scratch mine. That's why I think they put in the scene where he was so adamant on meeting Kanan, and he didn't tell Raquel about the bone marrow thing, which I thought was the most interesting part, because I don't think that he viewed it as being desperate, because if he did say that, then it would be like, well, you're gonna just die anyway, I'm not gonna help you. And the fact that I'm dying of cancer, doesn't she look like she would be the person, well then die then, hurry up. Like, you wouldn't exactly have a sense of someone is holding me hostage or I have to do this for someone if they're going to drop dead of cancer anyway. Like, that's just not what you're going to
do. And by the way, just to piggyback off of what you said, Dana, whenever this meeting does happen and, Kanan is around and he's meeting Howard, etc., we can 100% expect that Symphony is going to show up. And this will create tension. Because
Symphony's in the doctor's office.
Yeah, this will create tension because we already know the Symphony that he's with Raquel. So if he sees that this guy is showing up again after the whole incident they went through with the arrest, that gives him the mindset, because he doesn't know about the backstory between Raquel and him. And I also believe that is going to come out eventually. When he finds out about that, I'll be very curious to see what his reaction is going to be when he finds out.
But here's the thing. I don't think that he's going to be angry for the simple fact Raquel and Howard knew each other since they were teenagers. And you cannot be angry at someone else's past when you was in there. Symphony is just brand new. I think he was literally just born yesterday on top of that as well. So you can't be angry at someone's past and the connections that they made within their past. However, I do see him taking I'm going to still look out for Kanan and Raquel's situation. So yeah, I do see him right there in the hospital. He's probably one of the nurses who does the whole bone marrow transfer at this point.
And he's very much into fighting the system. This is the stuff that he talks to Kanan about when they have the conversations. They talk about the buildings and stuff like that, but he's very much against the system trying to hold the black man down. That's why I feel he will 100% be combative or argumentative whenever if he sees that Howard is around Kanan and he just happens to be at the house or whatever, then that's going to be an issue. But we'll see, because that could be the other part of the juicy tidbits that we see, some type of altercation between him and Howard in the future as well.
But here was also a very interesting point about this, and we have to go back to the whole D-Wiz situation where Raquel revealed that she was the one who killed D-Wiz, and we kind of had like that horrific, like, oh my God, you did that, whole look that he had. What better way? Because remember before that, there was the scene, I think either in the previous episode or the episode before that, where she went on this kind of really adamant rant. You have nothing to do with Howard. Do not talk to him. Do not look at him. Make sure he doesn't even breathe on you. Stay away. What better way to get back at Raquel than to be buddy-buddy with Howard? And when he does reveal, I'm your dad, you can, and then that will set him up even more about the whole situation with Raquel, where, come on, Dad, and you're just skipping down the street with him in order to piss Raquel off. So I think that is how the way that he can get back at Raquel is by doing this whole situation.
It sounds to me like you just answered the question that Gary asked earlier, because
it takes me a while. I get there.
No, but that's excellent, because I didn't think about that, and that makes perfect sense, because she has been telling him to stay away from this guy. Now, and then if he does have that conversation with him and he tells him, "Oh yeah, I'm your father," be even more angry about his mom and question what lies has she been keeping from him.
And this also, if it is true, this is how we technically would get Howard into season 2. I'm going to not only piss you off by hanging out with him, I'm going to give you my bone marrow. And look, that's my legal father right there. My mom, you can't say anything, because legally, I'm also part of him. So I give my consent, even though I'm a minor, to go and give him bone marrow. And that, you could say, is how he does live if he's not murdered, which I just hope that one shoots him eventually. Wouldn't that be something if he makes it through the whole thing? You can't so free, and then he's shot. Anyway, so I think that would be a more impactful way to get back at Raquel than just to say, "Oh, I hate you," and walk out the house.
Yeah, I agree. And one last point that I want to make before, because I know we're a little off topic. Because you mentioned that, though, I figure I might as well say this. I agree that it would be great to see if Kanan was able to save Howard's life. I don't think that's going to happen. But if it doesn't happen, it could be a situation where Unique is the one that kills Howard. So not only does Unique, to go to what I said earlier, not only does Unique now has he been getting information from Davina, but to kill the guy who just admitted to you, "Oh yeah, this is your father." Now that makes the showdown even more interesting between Kanan and Unique. So
yeah.
And one thing that we do have to mention is that, even in the regular Power, Ghost and Tommy, they look up to Kanan. Kanan is revered as the guy that taught him everything. So there has to be something that happens in Kanan's life where he ends up getting that reputation. What better way for it to be if he was the one that took out